Well, guys, here we are again. This must be round 12 of the same fight that we've been doing for probably about 5 to 6 months now. The Supreme Court once again had to step in and play referee because a bunch of lower court judges didn't want to fight fair. Well, here's what happened. So, y'all remember back in February, Donald Trump signed Executive Order 14210, which basically told the federal government, start drawing down your force, start firing people, start letting people go. This was all tied to that severance plan that he offered at the beginning of the year, which, shit, I would have taken. Imagine I think it was basically like 100% pay for 7 months, and you didn't even have to work. I would absolutely have taken that. Anyone that didn't is an idiot. So, Donald Trump signed this executive order basically telling the departments of housing and urban development, state, treasury, agriculture, energy, labor, interior, veteran affairs, and other agencies like the EPA, Social Security Administration, and National Science Foundation that they needed to start firing or laying off people. It was time to start reducing the costs to operate the federal government, as any smart businessman would do. Well, probably about a month after that order was signed, a San Francisco federal judge, signed issued an injunction against that order, saying that they believed it to be unconstitutional and that it was likely going against the direction that Congress had directed the federal government to grow. It's kind of an interesting idea, and this is one of those cases that I could definitely see where the judge is coming from. Okay. I don't know anything about the judge that issued the injunction, but the idea, the theory is that Congress has created these agencies and given them power to create rules and regulations. And because Congress has done this, the agency is basically a quasi-legislative branch. And that agency can create rules and regulations and grow into the area that agency needs to operate. And if the president orders that agency to fire a bunch of people and grow smaller, then he is in fact making that agency do what Congress, or making the agency not do what Congress has told it to do. It's definitely a weird decision, but I can kind of wrap my head around where they're coming from. This doesn't at least seem to be one of the cases where a judge is just being, I want to be the president now. So where do we go from here? Well, yesterday, the Supreme Court issued a stay of that injunction, saying that Donald Trump is likely to win on the merits of this case. And because of that, we're not going to make him wait to start doing all this stuff. Now, what is interesting about this is, of course, Justice Brown is the only one to dissent, 8-1 decision. It is an unsigned opinion. So this wasn't written by Gorsuch or wasn't written by Kavanaugh, or at least they're not going to claim ownership of it. So we are at the end of the term for the Supreme Court. Most big things have already been decided. So we're not going to get any more like giant wins, is my guess. There still could be some stuff that comes down the pipeline. But what happens is this kind of decision is taken off of what's called the shadow docket, basically an emergency hearing that the Supreme Court will do. Now, Justice Jackson spent her entire dissent that she authored, in my opinion, because she wanted her name in the news again, spent the entire time of her dissent basically saying that this is unfair, it's hubristic, it's senseless, writing, quote, warning of, quote, mass employee terminations, widespread cancellation of federal programs, and the dismantling of much of the federal government as Congress has created it, end quote. So here's the problem, is if that kind of stuff wants to be argued, then it needs to be argued. But this was not the forum to do it in. That hearing should take place once people have started being fired, because that's when they have the standing to have that argument. And this is something that Justice Sotomayor knew and explained to her in the opinion. Sotomayor wrote that she concurs with the majority, that she says that the president should be able to do this, but any plan to reduce workforce should be heard in the lower courts. Meaning, let's say there's a plan of the EPA to say, okay, we're going to fire this department. Okay, well, that department, if their firing violates some sort of constitutional law, some sort of precedent, something like that, then they have the right to argue that in the lower courts. This decision does not cover Donald Trump to fire every single person he wants. It just allows the firings to start taking place, the reduction in workforce. This is definitely a little, I'm not going to say sad, because I love seeing the three liberals like stick together and fight, because they have such terrible opinions. And it's so fun to read their dissents. But it looks like even Sotomayor can't stand Justice Jackson. Well, she's probably there for another 40 years, so we'll get a lot more out of her. Guys, thank you so much for watching. And don't forget to like and subscribe and comment below what you think. Peace out, guys.